avec nos partenaires et nos alliés du monde entier. Et sans les fonctionnaires dévoués qui travaillent dans nos missions diplomatiques, on ne pourrait pas y arriver. Ceux qui travaillent ici à la Maison du Canada exécutent cette mission et je voudrais remercier tout le monde ici de représenter le Canada ici au Royaume-Uni et merci de nous accueillir aujourd'hui. You know, relationships are built and strengthened by people. And I've had the privilege of working with our High Commissioner here in the United Kingdom, Ralph Goodale, over the years, over decades, most intensively, and it was intense, Ralph, when he was Finance Minister and I was an associate in the Department of Finance. And at that time, I saw firsthand Ralph's dedication to Canada, his intelligence, his unrelenting work ethic, and I want to thank him on behalf of all Canadians for his extraordinary service to our country in that role and many others, including his current. It's a pleasure to be at Canada House during its centennial year as Canada's High Commission in London. When our diplomatic mission moved here in 1925, it gave our country a much more prominent presence in London, and it signaled our desire to work more closely with the United Kingdom. Because Canada and the United Kingdom share a history, we share values, we share a sovereign. And we're drawing on that at this hinge moment of profound global change. The United Kingdom is one of our most reliable allies in our shared mission to strengthen prosperity and security on both sides of the Atlantic. For decades, Canada's foreign policy has relied on a certain number of premises. A rules-based multilateral trading system. Secondly, collective security anchored by NATO. Third, our enviable geography, which shielded us from distant conflicts and connects us to the world's largest and most dynamic economy directly to the south. And for a long time, we had the expectation, shared by many others, that the world would converge over time towards free markets, open societies, and democratic values. Now, the world is undergoing a number of fundamental shifts that are challenging all of those premises. New technologies have brought distant threats to our doorstep. Power has become multipolar. Authoritarianism is resurgent, and consensus within many democracies has fractured. This is not a slow transition, it's a rupture. And the mission of our new government is to ensure that Canada will not just be able to endure the impact of these shifts, but to prosper through them. I just want to make a few comments before taking questions on our strategies and how Canada is approaching these missions. First, we're building on our strengths. We recognize that we have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of each other. We can't control what other nations do, but we can control our own economic destiny. So we're charting that course to build Canada strong. We're building a stronger economy to create greater certainty and security for Canadians, to create conditions that empower people to find a good career, to put food on the table, to be able to buy their first home. And since forming government, we've moved quickly to begin to deliver on that promise. In the first 4 months, we cut taxes on incomes for more than 22 million Canadians. We cut taxes on capital gains. We removed all federal barriers to interprovincial trade in a move towards one Canadian economy. We passed landmark legislation to fast-track major projects in energy, artificial intelligence, critical minerals, and trade infrastructure to new markets. We've launched Build Canada Homes to help double the pace of home building, building at a pace not seen in Canada since the end of the Second World War. Now, while in the UK, I've met with business and investment leaders to discuss new economic opportunities and partnerships as we look to attract capital to Canada and to empower Canadian workers with new high-quality careers. My message to business leaders here in New York, throughout the world, is we have what the world wants. Canada is an energy superpower in clean and conventional energy. We're amongst the top 5 producers of the world's most important critical minerals. We're a leading developer of artificial intelligence, and we have the world's best talent in quantum and computer science. We have the resources that businesses need to thrive and compete in today's more volatile global economy. And the second point I emphasize is that we are a nation that is building with our values. Nous bâtissons avec nos travailleurs et nos entreprises pour créer des dizaines de milliers d'emplois spécialisés bien payés pour les Canadiennes et Canadiens de partout au pays. Nous bâtissons de manière durable en accélérant avant tout les projets axés sur l'énergie propre. Pour chaque dollar investi dans l'énergie conventionnelle, nous investissons $1,60 dans l'énergie propre. Nous favorisons l'inclusion grâce à un partenariat avec les peuples autochtones. Ce sont les valeurs qui guident nos politiques et nous aident à bâtir notre nation. Et guident aussi nos relations internationales. Yesterday, I participated in the Global Progress Action Summit. And at that meeting with fellow leaders, we discussed how to confront the most pressing challenges of our time together, and how to face these challenges in ways that create prosperity for working people, that build sustainable economies, and shape thriving and inclusive societies. By sharing strategies and solutions, we are better able to align and mobilize joint efforts to address these challenges. The third thing, we are engaging pragmatically to make progress internationally. To provide greater certainty and prosperity for Canadians, we are focused on building a new web of trade relationships around the globe. In June, Canada signed the EU Strategic Partnership for the Future to deepen trade and mutual economic security. This is the first step towards Canada's participation in Europe's SAFE initiative and the launch of Rearm Europe plan. This week, we launched the second phase of those negotiations. Last week in Mexico, I worked with President Sheinbaum to launch a new Canada-Mexico action plan to build fresh economic opportunities for our workers and businesses. Earlier this week, the President of Indonesia and I announced Canada's first ever bilateral trade deal with an ASEAN country, reducing or eliminating tariffs on 95% of current Canadian exports to Indonesia. Et cet automne, nous allons lancer la nouvelle stratégie de diversification commerciale du Canada pour renforcer nos relations actuelles et ouvrir de nouveaux marchés aux entreprises canadiennes, en particulier en Asie. Yesterday, I met with the Prime Ministers of the United Kingdom, of Australia, of Spain, and Iceland. We discussed deepening defense cooperation to enhance our collective security. We've already undertaken important steps with Australia, with our new technology partnership for over-the-horizon radar that will help protect Canada's Arctic. This system will provide early advanced warning capabilities to armed forces, ensuring faster detection and decision-making for airborne threats in our Arctic. We also discussed deepening our trade and economic ties to create mutual resiliency and prosperity. Prime Minister Starmer and I are moving forward with the plan we laid out in June for a partnership with deeper ties in innovation, more trade, and expanded economic opportunities for both of us. I'm more certain than ever that there are endless possibilities for Canada. These possibilities will be realized through new partnerships between countries, with the private sector, with investors, with our allies. Canada, as this building demonstrates, and a success over the years, Canada is a determined and ambitious nation that is rising to the challenges of our age. And our partners know that they will rely not just on the strength of our values, but the value of our strength. And with that, I look forward to your questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll now begin with the question portion of this press conference. Première question, Jeremy.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News. Conservatives say you are jetting around but getting nothing done. You've met with numerous leaders while you've been here, but you're not signing a new deal or making, announcing a new partnership. What have you achieved tangibly for Canadians during this trip?
Yeah, look, there's a couple of things, Jeremy. One is that, and I would look at what we've done over the course of the last 10 days in Mexico, in New York, in Ottawa, in London. Major trade deal with the fourth largest population economy in the world, Indonesia, a country that's on track to be the fifth largest economy in the world over the next 2 decades. The first major trade deal for that country with Canada of objectives that are going to be and partnerships that are going to be tracked and built on over the course of the next 3, 6, 9 months, consistent with the review of CUSMA with the United States, crucial. Prime Minister Starmer and I agreed a series of economic and security measures back in June. This meeting was designed to go through progress on those measures, make sure we're on track on everything from digital to agriculture, and that the defense cooperation and security cooperation arrangements are lining up, also to coordinate strategies on Ukraine, on the Middle East. The meetings in in New York and here, and Ottawa for that matter, with the past, current, and future presidents of the European Union are necessary to help translate the agreements in June with the European Union, the framework agreements for opening up further market access in Europe, including in digital, and those defense partnerships which are crucial for driving our economy forward. That's to make sure that those agreements translate into the action and the detail there. And then lastly, we are going to, as a country, we are going to invest hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars over the course of the next decade to create hundreds of thousands of careers for Canadians and long-term prosperity. Part of that investment, part of the money for that investment is going to come from abroad. And so it's one thing to have the strategy, it's another thing to have these deepening trade relationships, and it's a third thing that is required is to tell major pools of capital what we're doing, attract them to Canada so that they can build prosperity with us. And so this morning I went through another set of meetings with major investors here doing exactly that. En français. En français. Alors, c'est mieux de considérer toutes les réunions dans l'ensemble pendant les dernières 2 semaines en Mexique, à New York, à Ottawa, ici à Londres. Et c'est plusieurs discussions afin de mettre en œuvre, afin d'avoir des accords. Par exemple, l'accord avec l'Indonésie, c'est le 4e plus grand pays du monde et c'est le premier accord commercial de grand éventail pour l'Indonésie et c'est notre premier accord avec une économie d'Asie. C'est très important, c'est très compréhensible, c'est une grande occasion, de grande opportunité pour nos entreprises et pour le Canada, les Canadiens et les Canadiens. Premier point. Deuxième point. Avec nos partenaires traditionnels, par exemple la Mexique et l'Union européenne, on va renforcer nos relations en ce qui concerne les relations commerciales et sécuritaires. On commençait avec un nouvel accord avec le Mexique dans l'ensemble de l'ACM, dans le contexte de l'ACM. Et avec l'Union européenne, nous avons commencé un processus en juin. J'ai signé un accord avec les présidents de l'Union européenne. Mais il faut le mettre en œuvre. Il faut faire de progrès. Alors, des réunions que j'ai eues avec les présidents actuels, passés et prochains, les présidents de l'Union européenne, parce qu'on change les présidents chaque 6 mois. Maintenant, c'est le Danemark, puis la Chypre, Cyprus, et puis l'Irlande. Alors, il y aura un processus pendant les prochains 12 mois de mettre en œuvre l'accord afin d'atteindre des vrais bénéfices pour les Canadiens. Ça c'est du travail. Il faut travailler. C'est pas seulement des conférences de presse. Il faut faire des jobs. Et le job, il faut faire des jobs à haut niveau afin que les systèmes mettent en œuvre des soins. Alors, c'est du vrai travail. Sorry, that was in addition to the English answer. It's not just to, je vais continuer, mais it's not just you sign a nice agreement and then something happens. No, you actually have to do the work. You have to meet with the leaders to make sure the work's being done. You have to mark progress as it's being done, which is what we're doing with the various European leaders to make sure Canadians and Europeans, but Canadians, my job, get the full benefit of these agreements that we're making with them. It's the same thing with the accord that we assigned with the United Kingdom in June. Okay, now Prime Minister Starmer and I had always intended to mark progress now so that by the end of the year, we're realizing the full benefits. Et alors, c'est déjà une réponse probablement trop longue, mais en ce qui concerne la situation, les situations difficiles à l'échelle du monde, au Moyen-Orient et à l'Ukraine, nous avons eu des discussions importantes, le Premier ministre et moi, afin d'aligner nos stratégies dans ce contexte qui sont très, très fluides à ce moment-ci. Merci.
My second question is about Canada Post. It's been suggested drastic changes are needed for it to remain viable. Workers are back on strike. Are Canadians about to lose Canada Post?
Canada Post is part of our country. It's part of our fabric. Canadians rely on Canada Post. And it's the responsibility of the government, first and foremost, the responsibility of Canada Post as a corporation, the unions in Canada Post, to make sure that Canada Post as an organization is viable. A company is not viable, any organization not viable, if it has cost $5 billion over the course of the last decade, if it's losing $10 million a day, which is what Canada Post currently is doing. So some significant changes are needed to be made. I would refer to the Kaplan report. It's in the public domain, which goes through a number of suggestions for those changes. The corporation is moving forward. The government has indicated the corporation should move forward with some changes that are the start of a path towards viability. More will need to be done. The corporation, in consultation with the unions or in discussions with the union, negotiations with the union, can be part of that solution. Other steps will need to be taken. But Jeremy, to your core of your question, yes, Canada Post, Canadians rely on Canada Post, and the responsibility of the government, the corporation, the union, is to put Canada Post in a position that trust of Canadians in the corporation is delivered. La situation, à ce moment-ci, la Poste Canada n'est pas viable. Ils perdent plus de $10 millions chaque jour. $10 millions chaque jour, jour après jour. Alors, la situation actuelle, il faut changer. Il y a plusieurs initiatives qui pourraient améliorer la situation. et la plupart sont contenus dans le rapport de M. Kaplan. Mais c'est la responsabilité, oui, du gouvernement, mais de la coopération, Canada Post, et puis les syndicats, le syndicat de rendre la coopération dans une situation dans laquelle le trust, le méfie, oui, de confiance, la confiance des Canadiens est bien méritée.
Next question.
Good morning,
Right.
Prime Minister.
Morning.
Lydia Stefanovich, CBC News. How has U.S. President Donald Trump's apparent backing of a Ukraine victory changed the calculus of the coalition of the willing, if at all? And specifically, what I'd like to know is whether this will make the coalition bolder, such as deploying trainers without a ceasefire. Is that in the cards?
The last part of your question, sorry, the deploying.
Trainers without a ceasefire.
Well, okay, so let me answer the last part and then to the broader. Canada is one of the leading trainers of trainers, you said, yes, training Ukrainian troops. We are one of the leading trainers of Ukrainian troops. We work closely, in fact, it's something I discussed with the Prime Minister Starmer. We work alongside our UK colleagues in doing that. We will continue to do that. In a ceasefire, not your question, but in a ceasefire situation, one of the most important things will be to scale up that activity even more, because the first line of defense will be a reinforced Ukrainian army, regardless of the nature of the ceasefire or any peace agreement. So that's the first point. The second, to go to your broader question, we very much welcome President Trump's position, as we have welcomed his engagement from the start in this conflict. He's played, as usual, a decisive role in shaping potential outcomes to the concept. We have been clear from the start, as a member of the Coalition of the Willing, well, Canada will do our bit, that ultimately some form of U.S. backstop to any security guarantee of Ukraine that is provided by the Coalition of the Willing will be necessary. So I'm encouraged by the most recent reinforcement of U.S. intent that the President's comments indicate. Yeah.
And you mentioned the conversations you had with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and other world leaders about Gaza and next steps on a Palestinian state. What have you decided?
Well, it's not, first point, it's not for us to decide that future. It's for us to support and influence in the ways we can. There are outlines of a peace plan led by the United States, but very much supported by Gulf states, Egypt, Jordan, Indonesia. I was part of the conversations with the Indonesian president a few days ago. Countries, ourselves included, in a way that is increasing the likelihood of, well, the possibility of success. I mean, one has to always be very cautious in any comments about that conflict, but progress is being made. The next few weeks could be decisive.
Next question.
Mr. Carney, Mackenzie Gray with Global News. In New York, you made it crack at one of your speeches about how the H-1B visas could be an opportunity for Canada to bring some people back. How much of an opportunity do you view that, and what changes is your government willing to make to attract those people to come?
Yeah, thank you. First off, we need to look at this in the broader context of our immigration strategy. The government is currently conducting a review of that strategy. Our immigration levels plan, so-called levels plan, will be released in the course of the next 6 weeks or so.